What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here, back with another week of NFL Best Bets. The final week of the 2020 NFL season and the first week of 2021 NFL action. In this video, as always, I will give you my 5 best bets versus the spread in the NFL for this week, as well as my top teaser of the week. Week 17 is always an extremely unique landscape for betting. I would advise to get as much information from as many sources as possible to keep track of the injury reports and to keep track of the news coming out of certain teams' facilities, because certain teams may be resting players, other teams may be trying to win. You need to determine which teams you feel safe about and which teams you can gain an edge on. And you're not going to be the first person to get the edge. People are going to get information before you, but you got to trust the information that you can get and move accordingly. So in this video, I'll give you my 5 bets, but as it is in week 17, I typically advise to wait for the information. Don't move too quick and don't move too slow. You need to be patient, but you need to move when you can move. All right? So before we get into my top 5 bets for this week, make sure you do spike that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more NFL best bets every single week here on the Bottom Line View. And also check out my Patreon as I give you my bets each and every week in the NFL on the Patreon exclusively and give you each and every game that I am betting on. So make sure you check out my Patreon for more exclusive betting and NFL content. Last week, in week 16, we went 2-3, again, under 500 for the second consecutive week. Not doing so hot. I will say, last week, I probably released the video too early because there were a lot of things that changed. The Indianapolis Colts, for example, I did not know would be without their 2 top left tackle and right tackle in the game versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. I totally wouldn't have made that a best bet. So sometimes that happens when you're making content, especially in betting. Things change fast, things change quickly, especially at the end of these seasons. So that's why I'm telling you, especially for week 17, to get as much information as humanly possible before betting on these games. That's at least my take and my opinion on things. We are 14-10-1 overall and looking to improve and finish off the regular season on a high note. So let's start this off. My number 5 game, actually my number 6 game. I'm giving you 6 games because I do have a game that right now I don't have enough information on it, but I kind of am leaning towards one side because this is kind of the direction I believe the game is going to go in. So the game is the Miami Dolphins versus the Buffalo Bills. The side is the Miami Dolphins +3. The Miami Dolphins are in a must-win situation versus the AFC East rival Buffalo Bills this week. The Buffalo Bills, on the other hand, already have at least the 3rd seed wrapped up. Now, if Pittsburgh loses to the Browns, which they both play at the same time, both games are at the same time, the 1 p.m. Eastern time slot, then the Bills have the 2nd seed no matter what, the top seed in the wild card round. And they would avoid, really as the 2 or 3, playing Kansas City the following week. But as the number 2, they would host the divisional round no matter what. Now, Buffalo, I don't believe is going to be playing Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, or any of their top players in this game for a lengthy period of time. Now, this is why I'm a little surprised that Buffalo is still favored by 3 points. My intuition, my personal knowledge of football in the NFL would tell me that Buffalo will rest their players in this game, at least for a majority of the game. Now, this is not from an outside source. I don't have any personal knowledge or any inside person, right, in the Buffalo organization telling me this, but this is just kind of my personal thought and my prediction. So take that for what it's worth. But I do believe that Buffalo will play their players for a small period of time in the game, kind of like a first or second week in the preseason, to get them a little action, to have them prepare for the game, but not to have extensive ability to get injured throughout the course of the game. They're going to pull them very early in this game, in my opinion. Now, it will help Miami obviously win this game. I think if Buffalo and Miami play straight up, Buffalo would win the game more times than not. Now, I'm not saying Miami has no chance, because I actually think they match up fairly well with Buffalo, given that they have a good secondary, a very good defense. Brian Flores coaching this unit up. They'd be one of the few defenses that'd be able to slow down Josh Allen right now and this passing attack just on the surface. So if they could keep it close at the beginning, and the Bills kind of work out some kinks at the beginning, maybe run some new plays that they haven't ran, or try to get some things going, maybe their rushing attack going, specifically something that's been their weakness, and then they pull their guys, I think that helps Miami. As long as this game is close, Miami has a very good chance to pull away in the second half. Fitzpatrick is not going to be playing. He's been put on the COVID list, so it's Tua all day long. Even if Tua struggles, he'll be the quarterback the whole game. Now, I'm not personally a big fan of Tua, but if Buffalo does not have a lot of their main starters in, he should be able to succeed enough. Of course, they have their weapons there, Parker, Gesicki, but the main information is that Miami needs to win, and Buffalo does not. And because of that, I'm willing to take Miami plus the 3. Because I think even if Buffalo plays at 100%, there is a chance that Miami covers the number or that they win the game outright. But I think there is a very large chance that if Miami plays all their players to win, because it's a must-win to get in the playoffs, and Buffalo does not, Miami is almost a lock to win this game. Matt Barkley, Josh Allen, major difference, okay? So I have the Dolphins as my 6th game to very much pay attention to. Don't bet on it right now, but get the information as soon as you see it. Maybe an indication that Buffalo will pull their starters. Bet Miami. That's my opinion. At number 5, my 5th game is the Chicago Bears. Now, it could be 5, it could be 6, it could be 5.5, depending. It might even move towards 4.5 and 4. Now, there's a crucial piece of information that's just come out before I've recorded this video. That is that David Bakhtiari, one of the best left tackles in football, in my opinion, the best pass blocking left tackle in all of football, protecting the blind side of Aaron Rodgers, who many consider to be the MVP. He is out for the season, which is a massive blow for the Green Bay Packers. So this means a couple things to me. First, it means that this is going to hurt the Packers in the playoffs, obviously. He's a great player. He is crucial to what the Packers do as they run their offense through Rodgers and his right arm. But secondly, this hurts them in this game, playing Khalil Mack and that front seven that is vicious, ferocious, and we know Khalil Mack's arguably the best edge defender in the league at getting after the quarterback, causing just absolute chaos and terror for opposing quarterbacks, and we know he can take over games. So it allows Khalil Mack and the Bears defense a chance to disrupt Aaron Rodgers and to make this game very, very interesting on that side of the ball. Plus, the Packers have not had a lot of time, right? They're only going to have Friday and Saturday, really, to prepare without David Bakhtiari like he was going to play. So now they're going to have to maybe change some things in their protections, get double teams on Khalil Mack more often, chip Khalil Mack more often. This is going to adjust their game plan quite a bit, their play calls, everything. It is important that David Bakhtiari is not there because he is one of the lone left tackles that you could just put out there one-on-one on an island versus a Khalil Mack and say, hey, block him every down. And that's not going to be the case in this game. And that's not going to be the case when they play some teams in the playoffs. But just specifically for Week 17, I think that helps the Bears' cause on their defense defending Rodgers. These games in Chicago typically have been very close, competitive, tough, and basically down to the wire each and every week. One score, one possession game, Chicago, Green Bay, when it is in Soldier Field, when it's in Chicago. And Yes, the game last time was a little different, but Chicago's offense has gotten vastly better since then. They're running the ball with much more efficiency. Trubisky is protecting the ball much better. He's making plays with his arm and his legs. I really like the play calling of Bill Lazor right now. As I brought up last week versus Jacksonville, that was my lock of the week. I loved it. It was correct. I'm sticking with Chicago again. I think Chicago is slightly undervalued right now. I think they're a pretty solid dark horse, maybe squeak in the wild card round team that could give a team fits in the first round. I think they'll give the Packers enough fits to make this a one-score game. Now, personally, if you see it at 5.5, I would just take the 6 points. So I'd take the alternate spread of 6. If you see it anywhere at 6, take it. Or above 6, 6.5. I see some places earlier in the week, 6.5. I would have taken that right away. Now, 5.5, 5, it's a little bit of a different number. You almost like, it's a different number than 6. So I'd rather push it up to 6 and just take less odds on that than just take the 5.5 straight up. That's just my opinion. But you could do as you wish there. But I do like Chicago now with the recent news of David Bakhtiari. I was already kind of feeling Chicago a little bit because of their recent success, their recent play, as well as the fact that Chicago needs to win this game to make the playoffs, which is also a massive factor. Now, Green Bay will be playing at 100%. This isn't a Buffalo situation because they need to win to get the number 1 seed. I don't expect them to be pulling any players. The only reason they would is if they were actually getting blown out in the first half. I don't see that happening. But I like Chicago to keep this one close, competitive, and I think Chicago is going to give Green Bay a tough time. I don't know if they'll win, but I think it will be close. My number 4 bet this week in the NFL for week 17 is the Cleveland Browns -9. Now, in some places it will be 9, some places it will be 9.5, maybe even 10. I would lay off the 10 because I believe Cleveland should win this game by double digits. When you look at it on paper, okay, more factors for week 17. Cleveland is playing as many of their best players as they can. Now, Denzel Ward is out, but everybody else, Jarvis Landry, their receiving core is back. That's a major factor. I think people underestimate how much of an impact Landry and those receivers had on them losing to the Jets. So it's a couple things here. The Browns need to win this game to secure their playoff spot over Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, is basically playing no one. They're not playing Big Ben. Mason Rudolph is getting the start. He is dreadful. They're probably going to rest maybe 1 or 2 offensive linemen throughout the course of the game. I don't think James Conner is going to be playing at running back. I think they'll probably rest some of their receivers, at least in the second half. I do expect their defense, TJ Watt, to not play so much, Cameron Hayward to not play so much. I don't think Minka will play that much. I just don't see Pittsburgh. If they're sitting Ben, more than likely they're going to sit a lot of their best players, including the defensive player of the year, TJ Watt, who single-handedly makes this defense one of the best in the league sometimes. So Pittsburgh is not going to have all their talent out there. Cleveland needs to win the game. Then you have the factor of Cleveland being embarrassed last week. Stefanski, who was maybe the coach of the year before that performance, is going to have this team motivated to play this game if they weren't already motivated. They should win this game by double digits. Now, some people will say Pittsburgh's defense can keep it close even with Rudolph at quarterback. Here's the thing. I don't think Pittsburgh's going to play a lot of their defensive players. At least they're better ones. At least they're all Pro Bowl players. They're not going to play those guys. They're smarter than that. They have the 3 seed locked up regardless of the loss. I think Cleveland should run away with this. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, the receivers are back. I like the tight ends. I like the offensive line. The Browns are going all in for this game. Myles Garrett terrorizing a Rudolph, hitting himself with his own helmet. Who knows? I like Cleveland to win by double digits in this game. If you can get it at 9, I like it. My number 3 bet this week is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers -7. Tampa Bay has been a staple on my best bets each and every week for the past 5 weeks, basically. I think they've been on here every week except for maybe 1. And that's because I have been starting to believe in what I'm seeing with my 2 eyes in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Last week, they covered majorly in a big way. Tom Brady setting records in the first half. he has thrown for more yards in the last 4 quarters that he has played than any quarterback in the history of football. I'll say that again. Tom Brady over the last 2 games, 4 quarters, has thrown for more yards in NFL history than any quarterback ever, over 600. Mike Evans is going to be working towards being the first receiver ever to have, I believe, 7 straight seasons of 1,000 yards. He needs 40 yards to get there. They are clicking on offense. Their play calls are much better. Ronald Jones will probably be back, who's a much better running back than Leonard Fournette. Their offensive line's intact. They just have a rhythm of play action. They're starting to intertwine what Tom Brady likes with the chemistry of him hitting his targets, with Mike Evans being fully healthy, with Gronk looking like Gronk. It just feels like Tampa Bay's offense is hitting their stride at the right moment, entering the playoffs, which is a huge factor. Now, the first game, Atlanta lost. They were up big. They pulled a classic Atlanta. Tom Brady came back. I do feel there's going to be a little bit in Atlanta that says they cannot win this game. Like, how many times does some of these players need to lose to Tom Brady in heartbreaking fashion for them to just be down on themselves completely? Now, I'm not too big into that factor, but I do believe that is in the deep in the minds of those players, trust me, that they just can't beat Tom Brady. Like, there's going to be something there. I think it has more to do with they just played each other 2 weeks ago. I think Tampa Bay being so good in the second half, they figured something out in that game. They figured out how to attack the defense. They figured out how to pressure Matt Ryan. They figured out what Atlanta was doing to disrupt them in the first half. And I think that is going to start from quarter 1 instead of quarter 3. And therefore, they're going to be able to cover a touchdown spread, win by 10, win by double digits. And I know that Atlanta played well versus Kansas City. But hey, Kansas City has not been playing very well lately. They've been allowing a lot of teams to cover. Tampa Bay typically blows out average to bad teams. And Tampa Bay is playing their best football of the season. I expect that to continue here. And I think that they have a big showing in the last week at home entering the playoffs. Tampa Bay will secure the 5 seed with their victory. And I believe they do so, covering the number of 7, maybe 6.5. If it's at 6.5, I like it even more. But even 7, I would take Tampa Bay once again. My number 2 bet of week 17 is the Washington football team -2, possibly 2.5 over the Philadelphia Eagles. Washington, of course, is the only team in this game that needs to win. Washington is on Sunday Night Football. Washington needs to beat the Eagles to advance to the playoffs. If they do, they are in. It doesn't matter what the Giants do. It doesn't matter what the Cowboys do. It doesn't matter about that other game. If they take care of business, they are in the playoffs and they're probably hosting Tampa Bay. If Alex Smith plays, I have a lot of confidence in this game. I just don't think that the Eagles have the motivation or the matchup to win this game. Washington is a defense that takes over and wins games. They are playing a rookie quarterback here who's been maybe a little overhyped over the last couple of weeks. I like him, but maybe a little bit overhyped. He's going to be under constant duress and pressure. The Eagles' offensive line has not been good really all season long, no matter the quarterback. And I feel like Chase Young and those boys are going to be after him constantly, creating turnovers, pressures, sacks, and basically winning this game on that side of the ball, in my opinion. On the flip side, if Alex Smith is there, he takes care of the football. I feel like Terry McLaurin being back would be massive. They have enough weapons, the running backs, everything, to be able to move the ball efficiently to win this and grind it out and get the victory. There's also been reports of checking the injury report of Philadelphia. Fletcher Cox and other veterans probably will not be playing in this game because they want to reserve them for next year. They want to take less wear and tear off of their bodies. Trust me, guys like Fletcher Cox, they are really damn good and important to this team. And if they are not there, I know Deshaun Jackson played last week, but he was also on the injury report. A couple other guys, check for yourself. But the Eagles will probably be more leaning towards, this game doesn't really matter for us. Like, would we like to play spoiler? Yes, but it's more about seeing what we have in Jalen Hurts and still maintaining our draft position. So if Fletcher Cox can't go, we're not going to force him. If our veterans can't get out there, okay, rest. You've had a lot of wear and tear on your body. Wait for 2021. There's a lot more enticing Washington here to win this game and to cover than the Eagles to pull off the upset. I know that upsets happen in Week 17, but I don't believe it to be in this game. I like Washington to win and to cover here. And my number one bet of Week 17 is the Baltimore Ravens to take care of business versus the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals did pull off the upset over the Houston Texans last week, but let's understand that the Houston Texans are a one-man show. They are Deshaun Watson and nothing else. Baltimore is a team. Baltimore is a top 3 team in the AFC, and they are going to show you once again they are building and building and building momentum as they gain a spot in the playoffs. They remind me of the 2012 Ravens, of the 2011 Giants, of the 2010 Packers, of the 2007 Giants, of the 2005 Steelers. Those wild card teams that had high expectations and they dipped for whatever reason throughout the course of the season, but we know that they're one of the more talented teams in the league. And then they turn it on. And with Lamar Jackson, he's one of the most dynamic special players in the NFL today. He'll win this game by himself. The Ravens have dominated this rivalry, winning these games by double digits continuously, game after game after game. They have owned the Cincinnati Bengals, especially this recent regime of Bengals teams. Lamar has gone off consistently. They've ran the ball successfully versus this team consistently. I believe that will be the case once again in Week 17. They will pull away in this game early, and they will not look back. The Ravens will win. They will cover the 13-point spread. I like that it's at 13 because if they cover by 2 touchdowns, 14, they'll be able to pull off the victory. I like the Ravens here. I actually don't just like them, I love them. I really think they're going to be a problem in the playoffs, especially early on. And I think they are playing really good football. So I love Baltimore to beat down the Bengals in Week 17 as my top bet of this week. Those are my best bets of Week 17. Now time for the teaser. All right, I already mentioned one of the teams, as I typically do in my teaser. I like the NFC South combination teaser of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New Orleans Saints. Tease both of them down. Now that would be Tampa Bay -1 or maybe -0.5, depending on where you're betting. And then New Orleans -0.5 point over Carolina. Both teams will be fighting for their playoff seeding. Saints still have the picture of the number 1 seed in their minds, especially with the possibility that Chicago could upset Green Bay. So they will not, I repeat, will not be resting players. They will be trying to win. I like the Saints and the Bucs, the NFC South teaser this week as my teaser of the week. There it is. Best bets. Let me know any questions you have in the comment section below. If you enjoyed, don't forget to Gronk spike that like button and subscribe for more. It's Mitch, the Bottom Line View. Enjoy the final week of the regular season, and I'll see you next week for the playoffs. Peace.